Good evening and welcome to Conversations with Entrepreneurs. Tonight, our topic of discussion is going to be what is the first step that you take when you're focused on being an entrepreneur? And then we're also going to discuss when do you know you're ready to take that first step? When do you know you're ready to be an entrepreneur? So let's go ahead and fire up today with our panel of entrepreneurs. Jeff, how you doing this evening?
Good evening. I'm just so happy to see everybody. It's one of the highlights of my week.
And Chanel.
Hello, hello. Chanel here from Monglay Travel.
And Julie.
Good evening, everyone. This is Julie Logan with J. Logan Business Support Services. Hope everyone's doing well.
And we have Dion.
Afternoon, everyone. I was going to do a whole big radio show introduction type thing. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us again.
What stopped you?
Let's get ready. Let's get popping on this one. So, when do you know you're ready? So, Chanel, when did you know you were ready to build towards Moonglade Travel?
Oh boy.
Jeff is crazy. All I see is the
because
show.
Jeff
like,
knows
he's just
he had an arrangement. No, that's what he's laughing about. Okay, great question. So for me, with Moonglade Travel, started about 4 years ago. Had always traveled, always had a passion for travel, a love for travel, and was always getting asked by friends and family to, help them plan different vacations. And it was something I was good at and enjoyed doing. So I saw the opportunity to turn it into a business. But for me, not having a background in travel and tourism, the first couple of things I did was learn, just, gain that education and that knowledge. So took some classes, and a pivotal moment for me was when I passed my exam. There's an exam at the end of this course that I took, and I passed it. And I was like, oh, shoot, wait, I passed. So now it's real. Like, okay, now you really have to do this thing. So passed the exam, and then I filed for my LLC. And once I got that back, it was on and popping. It was, okay, now what's next? My website and, various accounts and things that I had to set up. So those were that was kind of like when I knew, or when I got the courage to say, okay, now let's step out and really do this thing. And then the first couple of steps was, like I said, my LLC, my EIN, website, all those critical things that I was going to need to prepare me to launch my business. So that's kind of high level for when I knew and what were my first steps.
Thank you, Chanel. Jeff?
Well, for me, it sounds so corny, but I think I was born ready. And I say that because I never wanted to work for anybody, even when I was little. I gave the example last time, a couple of weeks ago, of how I loved George Jefferson. He was my hero because he had a smart mouth and he was paid and no one could take it from him because he had his own dry cleaners. But there's another story that I tell that is hilarious as I look back. When I was in grade school, there was this liquor store on the corner. And we would go there every day to get our candy, our penny candy, our Chico sticks, everything. And this is one old man, his name was Mr. Tillman, older black guy. And he would just sit in the corner on this bar stool chair, and it was his liquor store. And I would go in there every day and look at him like, wow, he's living the life. He has his own store. And so, mind you, I'm like in grade school. So I grew up watching him and George Jefferson, like, wow, I want my own business. And so I got in high school and I decided I was going to own a liquor store. And the name of the liquor store was Jeff's Cut Rate Liquors. Yep. And my friends would die laughing. Jeff's Cut Rate Liquors, we accept food stamps. No credit.
I love it, Jeff. Jeff, you the master.
I kid you not. His name was Mr. Tillman. If anyone's from Chicago and went to Gary Morgan, it was on 84th and Kerfoot. They know Mr. Tillman. And so these are my influences growing up. So, so that was my introduction into business. But mind you, on a serious note, I did a lot of studying, a lot of research on what you need to do to own a business. I knew it was a lot of work. And so I did a lot of study, a lot of research, and I still do to this day. Every day I'm still learning. So I knew I was ready because I always wanted to do it, but I had to prepare by learning about business. You don't get paid every week. You got to do your marketing, your advertising, your promotion. You have to get out there and really work hard to make the business work because it's yours and yours alone. So I had that mental preparation for years that I always wanted to own my business. But my first step when I finally got out there was to not rest on my laurels and just keep working and trying to grow and evolve the business. And that was I learned that just from reading a lot about different entrepreneurs. I read a lot of books, autobiographies. I used to watch a lot of shows on entrepreneurs and even celebrities. There was one good show that I really enjoyed called Behind the Music. And on that show, it was on VH1. But on that show, they talked about the behind the scenes of the stardom. They showed them before they became famous, the ascent, and then the descent. And so I'm watching all this and I'm observing, okay, they all worked really hard in the beginning. They all came from these humble beginnings. No one believed in them in the beginning. Then all of a sudden they had this meteoric rise, and then they got to the top, and then everyone tried to pull them down. And I'm like, okay, what can I do to prevent the pulling down part? And so I realized that a lot of times people bring you down because maybe you did something to cause them to pull you down, or you just want to find ways to prevent that from happening. So all of these were part of my original steps. Now it's like a game of chess. You have to be looking 3, 4, 5, 6 steps ahead. So when you finally get to that point, you are where you want to be and exactly in a position that you want to be in. So I know it's kind of like an around the way answer, but it's a lot of things that go into it. It's a lot of mental preparation at the end of the day. And you have to make sure that you're looking at all aspects. And you may not necessarily be ready because things are going to be on the fly too. So you have to be prepared for any obstacle or anything that can come your way that's unexpected. Business is never, and I repeat, never just a straight line. It's always some type of adversity, twists and turns, ups and downs. Like even right now, for example, I have good months and I have bad months. And we all have been through that. And if you ever think that every month is going to be a good month as an entrepreneur, you're fooling yourself. So you have to learn how to deal with that too. So that is when you're ready, when you're ready for any and everything. And, that's how I've just always looked at it. I wish every month was a great month, but they're not. They're not. And with this pandemic, this is like one of the ultimate tests for all of us. So you're ready when you are ready to expect the unexpected, when you're ready to get out of your comfort zone and stay out of it for a while, and that you're going to keep going no matter what. And you're ready to always learn. If the day you think you know everything is the day you lose. Never think you know everything. I love this panel here, and I love to listen and talk to people because everyone here knows something I do not know. So I know when to shut up and listen. Alethea, I could never tell Alethea how to do a movie. I don't know anything about that. Dion is a mental health expert. I don't know how to talk to people in that manner, how to diffuse situations and talk to people. I don't know. So I know when to shut up and listen. I know how to stay in my lane. Chanel, I can't, arrange travel arrangements. Hell, I haven't been anywhere. So how I'm gonna do it? And Julie, I don't really know what you do, but whatever it is, I don't think I could do it either. I'm kidding, Julie.
Julie does it all, Jeff.
No, Julie's a consultant. She does a lot, and she sings for one. She's a musical genius, and I can't do anything of that nature. But in all seriousness, no, never think you know everything. Never think you know everything, and always be prepared to learn and change things up on the fly. When you are ready for that, then you're ready to start a business and step out.
Awesome. I agree, Jeff, 100%. Julie?
Well, I will say this. I agree with Jeff. I do not know how to start a liquor store business. I would love to learn more about that, Jeff. Jeff Cut Rate Liquor. I'm just curious, what does your logo look like? Let's have a conversation before I share how I got started. I'm just interested. What was your logo?
It was a big J. It was a big J, and it had the big fluorescent lights, and they blinked, and it had to open 24 hours, at the bottom, and it was just like Christmas lights. They just flashed. Jeff's Cut Rate Liquors. And my mother would be so embarrassed when I would tell that story because I was so proud too. I was so proud. I'm on a liquor store. And I had a list back then. I would say, I'm on a liquor store. And she just do like this. And I was dead serious. And one day she was like, Jeff, you can't own a liquor store. That's just bad for the community. But Mr. Tillman, he's so happy and he's successful. Like, you cannot own a liquor store. So... True story. Well,
I will say a liquor store is definitely a great way to get encouragement to start your business. So anyway, oh God, when did I know I was ready? I didn't. To be honest with you, I really didn't know. It was just one of those things that I just kind of fell into, if that makes sense. I will say my corporate America experience really helped me to narrow down what I really like to do. So for example, I was an corporate event planner for about 3 or 4 years at one of the financial services company. And I loved it. I loved taking, someone's vision of an event, whatever it is, and just making it come to life. And just, just seeing this beautiful birth of an event. And that gave me joy. That gave me energy, right? And so other people were actually just kept encouraging me. You should start a business because you're good at it. You should start a business. And then one day I was just like, okay, maybe I should. So the first steps that I did was this one day I just got a notebook, as they always pick at me about. Got my notebook and started writing down like at least 5 names, company names. And then what I did is I shared it with friends and I just called out the name. I was like, hey, what you think about this? It just started. That was my first step. Wrote down names that I thought would be good for an executive event planning company. Shared it with friends, did a rate of how many people like this one, how many people like that one, so on and so forth. And then from there, I created an outline of what I wanted people to know, what I wanted to offer as far as my services for the company. I had a long list at first, and then of course I narrowed it down to specifics. And then from there, that outline helped me build my website. And so that's kind of where I am today. And so it started with the name list. And then I think I registered with my local county. And then from there, I applied for the LLC. And so those were really how I kind of got started. And then from there, 3 businesses later, I'm like, God, Julie, you got to stop. Everything can't be a business. But I am going to look into that liquor store. That sounds like a pretty good.
Julie Bezos. Everything's a business.
Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. 100%. But that's how I got started.
Awesome, Julie. Thank you. Gian?
Oh, just I would like to say too, just growing up where I grew up at, I seen entrepreneurship all around me. Seen people, and sometimes it wasn't even legal, but it was entrepreneurship. It was work ethic. It was customer service. It was all kinds of things. But the first thing that I ever did was a friend of mine, his grandmother used to sell Kool-Aid Freezy Pop cups, right? And so we were addicted to them because they had the syrupy mix on the top and stuff like that. And I said to him one day, I said, man, and all these seem to be red or red, cherry or strawberry, whatever that means, right? So we do them by colors, right?
What flavor is red?
I want the red one, not the strawberry one. I want the red one, right? So I was like, man, you know, we should get the purple ones, which is great for everybody that's listening. We should get the grape ones and this and another. He said, you should do that. I was like, oh yeah. So we just kind of worked together. We kind of built it like that together. It taught me that I'm very good at kind of, like Julie said, naming it first and then kind of working backwards. That was some of the first insight into really how my stuff works and goes together and all that kind of stuff. I can see the end, and then, you know, definitely putting all the steps in there becomes the plan, you know, and all that other stuff, like that great quote Chanel had last week. And so that became the first thing. As I got older, the first formal step I took, it was due to my hard work at the school system I was working in. The person that I was doing some after school work for said to me, Dion, I'm going to start another branch and start another business. And I would like for you to be a part because I like your work ethic, you know? And so that became a formal invitation into my first step. And I'm going to say, like Chanel, that kind, like Chanel said, getting the certificate and that thing, it boosts your confidence and your courage. And that came just in the format, in the presence of a person or in the presentation of a person. You know, they really hand walked me and wanted to share with me because of the work ethic they seen me put in already. And so my first step is to go to work. You gotta work. You gotta work legally too. Let me add that. You gotta work, and you got things you gotta take care of before you get to the big pot of gold and all that other stuff. And you have to do that as respectfully, and you keep trying to grow. And oftentimes we see, we were having that pre-conversation, Jeff was talking about education. You oftentimes find yourself just, you know, you're making everybody else's stuff go. And everybody, Chanel's going, yep, and everybody else's stuff grow. And you walk away with the annuities, the pennies on the dollar, and all this other kind of stuff. And, you know, and then you get that oomph, you get that courage. And like Jeff said, then you get that, you know, I don't need nobody to tell me what to do. I can handle my own stuff, you know? And so yeah, it becomes all of that. So yeah, my first step was creating a great work ethic, you know, created a great work ethic that was reputable, and it became my business, you know. And I was in this is the last thing I'm gonna say. I was in a conference call, and Jordan Belfort was on it. Jordan Belfort is the Wolf of Wall Street, right? If you remember the movie that DiCaprio played in, it's one of my favorite actors, right? The Wolf of Wall Street. And he said, yes, Jeff, he said, your biggest asset is learning. Said, what you don't know, go learn. He said, you can wing it, you can fake it, you can make a lot of money, and you can end up just like he did in prison, because he was great at selling, you know what I mean? But he didn't learn. The words listen and silent are the same letters. You can't do one without the other. And that learning becomes so important to the next step. You know what I mean? And the first step, it becomes so important. Yeah, so I did all of those things right there. Yeah.
Wow, thank you, Dion. I agree with that a lot. And that listen and sound, that right there, that's going to be the quote of the night. I can already tell that.
Alethea, I think we need to start some Kool-Aid pops with liquors.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Julie is
opportunity.
Around here.
We got the experts here.
Well,
so.
she is a bartender, so we can work with it.
Let's go.
There we go.
You ain't said nothing.
There we go.
And you got the face too, Julie. You can sell them. You and Chanel can sell them.
The birth of multiple streams of income. There you go.
Amen.
So for me, I can't say I had an entrepreneurship bug early on, but I did have a writing bug early on. I wrote my first poem when my grandfather passed away when I was 9. I have learned from friends on Facebook that I started connecting from middle school and high school. I used to write short stories all the time. People would love what I short stories. I didn't have any author type aspiration. I was a writer. and I didn't know. I thought I was either going to be a nurse or a school teacher, but I wasn't thinking about that. Fast forward, age 22, then I write my first screenplay. Didn't know I wanted to have my own business, but as people started informing me, look, if you're going to be a screenwriter, if you want to make the most money off of your script, you need to have a production company. And Mahogany Productions was born in my mother's living room. Now, the setup then was way different than it is now. And I also found out here recently with Mahogany Productions that EIN number that I got some 30 years ago didn't count, didn't matter, because the company didn't ever do nothing. And the IRS said, well, we ain't gonna keep this number on the books. If you don't use it, you lose it, is the same thing for your company. So if you get an IN number this year and it takes you a couple of years, you're gonna have to reapply for that EIN number, because you got to file something against it, or they're just going to think you fell out of business anyway. So I learned that the hard way. But just learning the business, and I'll echo what Julie said too. Over the years, my career, corporate America, really built me for where I am now with Mahogany Productions. And when we had the last recession, 2007, 2008, Congress kept messing with the unemployment. I needed to find another stream of income. And I decided to take my office experience and put it to use. I went and I started walking Albemarle Road here in the Charlotte area. I decided I created A&B Accounting and Marketing Services. And so I walked up and down Albemarle Road, looked for these small mom and pop shops was up there. I can do your marketing for you. I can make brochures for you. I can get your accounting set up. If you want, I can even set up your HR. One, because I had worked all those different jobs in some type of capacity over the years, might as well use that experience for something, right? And so that's what it translated into. Did it give me a little extra pocket money? Yes, but it wasn't something I had a passion for. But it was giving me some extra money when unemployment ran out. My passion has always been with writing. So it was evident that I would turn back around to film. But like Jeff and Chanel know, even when I went back to writing, when I wrote my first book, we were doing the Blog Talk Radio show. And I was doing that entrepreneurship and wasn't thinking about films then. I didn't jump back into films until 2016. I've been a ghostwriter for a friend of mine in New York for a lot of his little short films that he put in festivals. And I decided I wanted to come out because I knew I wanted to go back to films. So my heart, my passion for running a production company started when I was 22, but it took me 30 years to actually bring it to fruition. So again, it takes a minute to get some things started, but somewhere down the line, as we've discussed this month, you've planted seeds for the path that you want to go on for whatever your ambitions are as far as entrepreneurship is concerned. It just takes a while. And like Jeff has said, like Julie has said, like Chanel has said, like Dion has said, it takes different things that nurtures you to help you along the way. Yes, there's things that you need to educate yourself on your own, but there are different things, different processes, and it's different from everyone. Yes, there's a 1, 2, and 3 basics of starting a business, but it's very different. The path that you're on for you is very different. My daughter, she wants to do jewelry and t-shirts and all these other different things. Her path is different. All I can do is I can show her as a Black woman, yes, you can start your own business and provide her as much knowledge as I can that way. My ups, my downs, my failures, because you run into a couple of those here and there. All that glitters not gold. The road can be a little rough. And like Jeff said last week, even if you're starting your own business, working another job while you're still running your business is not a bad thing. Because again, we got to take care of home first, so you got to take care of home first. Liquor stores, everything get added with the Kool-Aid, that'd be all right, What corner he gonna be on when I stop by so I can get my grape, because I like grape. And if you got watermelon, I'm gonna work. I like that part. I can do that. So you and Dion, let me know. I'll come to the corner. Got my dollars.
We could always start a truck, an ice cream truck.
See that? No, listen. We got the food truck. We got
for adults only. Yeah. For adults only.
we call the Kool-Aid, you mix them all together, Chanel. all the colors together. We called that the kamikaze back then.
So,
And we sold that, Jeff, at a premium. It wasn't that wasn't 15 cents. That was 25 cents right there, brother. Yes, sir.
I'm betting.
Look, here's the name for it. Cut rate kamikaze.
Oh Lord, there you go. Write it down. Just tell Julie to put it out there for you. Cut rate. Look, hey, Chanel, I got $5. Dion and Jeff gonna have that food truck at Food Line Speed Street next year.
Tell you that was a true story too. I had it all figured out. Jeff's cut rate, and my friends would die laughing. Yeah. We accept food stamps, no credit. They loved it. Everyone loved it who was my age, but all the adults, they hated it.
Right, Jeff.
Jeff could have had to stand on the corner. He'd be rich right now. They'd be coming to Jeff's spot. It wouldn't even be Jeff's cut rate. It'd be Jeff's spot. Yeah, I'm going to Jeff's spot. He'll get the corner so-and-so. Yeah. Jeff's spot.
You know, I'm not trying to
y'all sleep on that name.
Listen, Julie, I'm not trying to go too deep into this, but I have not seen a truck that is relative to alcohol. I have not seen one regularly around.
Yeah, they come to that that Food Line Speed Street thing that they do when they do the food truck stuff here. Now I've seen some of those liquor trucks. They give the little sample of the wine and you know all the little different things. So they do have some out there. And food trucks are getting to be a hot.
There it is.
Yeah, because you know
it can travel from the Carolinas to Florida. We southeast based. How about that?
There you go. Food trucks is the way to go. I got 5 on it. I'll be an investor. Gonna help y'all get that truck. Got 5 on it. 5 on it.
Really got that look in her eye, like she's really like, okay, I think this could work. You got that looking eye. That's what entrepreneurs do. We see any idea, we're like, wait a minute, let me see if we can make this really work.
I think that name will work. That name,
I know, cut rate kamikaze. I mean, what else? I mean, come on now. Yeah, we should talk about it.
Look.
I'm just seeing 2 for $2 signs in the grocery store, right in the convenience store right now, just right behind the Four Locos and the Old Milwaukee's bed.
They're gonna be on Shark Tank next month, y'all. Watch see them. They're gonna be on Shark Tank.
And here's the thing, Kool-Aid is still available. You don't hear people talk about Kool-Aid that much anymore. So why not bring that back around? I mean, I know we're joking, but I'm serious.
I can see it. I'll tell you. I'll be the first investor. Y'all get that truck. Y'all get somebody running.
Oh, Chanel, I think I'm the one who sabotaged it today. I think I take the blame for that today.
It's all you. It's all you. And a little bit of Julie sprinkled in.
Julie sprinkled in. Now, Dion took it home, though.
You're right.
Dion grabbed the baton and was like, hey, yeah.
He did. Kamikaze.
I do want to say one thing, though, about something Dion said, which is very profound, actually. He talked about the navigation system, and that's very true. How you have that plan, which your plans can change, and that made me think that as an entrepreneur you have this perfectly laid plan, but it don't always go the way you want it to, and that's very important, because a lot of times when people start out they think, okay, it's got to be this and this, all in certain order and perfect, but it never works that way. I can't tell you how many times I started my business and like, how'd I end up way over here? But it seemed like such a natural progression. And I think a lot of times when people they make their business plan, they make it, for 2 years, 5 years, whatever, and expect it to stay on that lane. Man, it never, ever goes that way. I think sometimes you have to look at your like you say, your end destination. How are you going to get to that destination? And I've been thinking over the years, what was my goal as an entrepreneur? I think for me, honestly, it did come back to education. My mother's a school teacher, and she was like, you'd be a great school teacher. I'm like, I can't teach people who don't want to be taught. I cannot be in some classroom with kids who don't want to be taught, but I can teach people who want to be there. And so that was in the back of my mind too, even as a teenager. And it's so funny how I gravitated to, when I was a stockbroker, I would try to explain how the stock market works and dollar cost averaging the different investments. Then I was a personal trainer. I would explain, okay, this exercise works this, and you want to do this, this, and this, and then, as I of course, the Black history is education and entrepreneurship. And now I'm doing these courses. It's like, how did I come full circle all the way back to something my mother said, 35 years ago? How in the world did I get here? And it's almost like you don't know how the path your life is going to go, but what is your goal in business, in life? And you never know how life is going to steer you in that direction. So I feel like I'm just a teacher. I'm just a teacher in my own way outside of the system. So, I mean, sometimes you have to look deep inside yourself as to what it is that you want to do as an entrepreneur and as a person. And in some weird, strange way, it'll all come together. And when it does, that's when you know where you need to be and you're unstoppable. You can just go full speed ahead.
Jeff, I think you're
good, Jeff.
No, I think you're right on that about the end destination, because when I started my women's empowerment organization, I Am Her Too, my prayer was, I wanted to, be the speaker on national stages, right? That was my vision, but not realizing that the stages have been the churches, have been these conferences that have been inviting me to that. So, if you put it out there, it's going to come, but it may not go in the direction that you think it is. So you were spot on with that statement there.
Hey, but you know what though? What you said is true, but how do you know that this isn't preparing you for the big mega stages? I look at it like sports. People always want to go from high school to the pros. It don't always work that way. You got to start out in Pee Wee League, and then you got to play in high school, and hours and hours and hours and hours of work, practice, preparation. And then after years, you finally get like the junior league, semi-pro, and then you start to get up into the higher echelon. You can't go from Pee Wee League to the pros. You got to take those steps. So the same thing could be happening with you. You are getting your practice with these excellent opportunities, but you never know how far up you're going to go. So that's how I look at it too. So you may be just, taking your steps to get you where you need to be. It's like preparation for these bigger and bigger stages. And a lot of people don't really see it that way. They think, okay, I'm not where I want to be yet. Maybe you're not ready yet. Maybe you're just not ready to handle the rigors of that big stage. But you got to do these little smaller stages, many of them, practice, find out what to do. How are you going to improvise if things don't go right? If something goes wrong, are you going to be able to think on your feet and rebound? When we get to the big stage, everything's magnified. And so when you get up there, you got to be ready, and you got to know that, okay, I can handle that because I did this many, many times before. So, you never know. You never know where you could be in a couple of years. You could be on a huge mega stage talking in front of 100,000 people. Or you could be online. No, I'm serious. You could be online, live stream, where it's going all over the world. But everything you're doing right now, this is a stage. This is a stage. Like I said, I wear this not because of where I am now, because where I want to be. Where I want to be. I want to be on a whole nother level, and you got to start preparing for that now. Where's your end game? What's your goal? So it's the same thing. It's all relative,
Agreed.
Yep.
I definitely agree. You're going to get that stage. I'm going to be sitting right there front row.
Absolutely. It's coming.
We're all going to be sitting up there, and we ain't going to let Jeff and Dion bring their Molotov cocktails and all that other stuff.
I'm not going to do nothing.
You saw that, Chanel? I had nothing to do with that one.
Uh-huh.
I had nothing to do
Real
with that.
quick, I wanted to go back to something you all have said, but I think what it boils down to is finding your passion. As you all were speaking, I had to think through, like I wanted to start an adult daycare, and that was squashed. I, started making homemade body scrubs, and that was squashed. I wanted to start a magazine, and that was squashed. And then finally it was like, oh, here it goes. I get it now. You know what I mean? So I think finding that passion and really following that dream and that vision is very critical. But then I also think, and I think we all touched on this now, is finding your niche. Same thing. When I started out, I would book anything. Cruise. You want to go to Miami? You want to go to Charleston? I'll do that. I mean, anything. And that was a bad decision. You know what I mean? I'm not a cookie cutter organization. I'm not a one size fits all shop. You know, I'm very strategic about what our specialty is. And it took me a while. It was a lot of failures. It was a lot of time, energy, let down, you know, but I wish I would have gone into creating my business with that mindset. It would save me a lot of time, money, and energy. But I think that's very critical. I think really honing in on what your passion is, and what your specialty is in your business, and focus on that value add is one thing that I'd bring up. And also thinking, you know, Jeff, you're talking about as a child, you know, you seeing entrepreneurs around you and you've kind of always had this bug. And for me, thinking back, I didn't. I mean, I saw entrepreneurs in our community. And I didn't even think about that, you know, because my grandparents were old school. They were like, you go to school and you get a job and you work until you retire. That was it. That's kind of what they instilled in us. But in high school, my mom opened up a Christian bookstore, and she worked full time in corporate America. And she had this bookstore that she, you know, was thriving. But I saw the hard work that she put in, the hours, you know, the labor that she put into that. And that, you know, in the back of my mind, I think that's kind of where it all started. Seeing her, you know, thrive and start this business and be successful unknowingly. You know, now that just having this conversation with you, I'm like, oh, okay, you know, and I oftentimes think of, am I doing that same thing for my children? You know, they know Moonglow Travel. They know it, they live it. It's so funny to see them, but I'm hoping that that's the legacy that I'm living, you know, that I'm putting into my children, which is really what drives me. You know what I mean? It's nice to go on trips. You know, I want to be that $1 million, $1 billion, you know, travel company that's globally and internationally known. Yeah, that's nice. But I also want to live this legacy and create this legacy for my children.
And
I thought I'd just put that out there.
I agree with you, Chanel. That's really important for me. And, you know, Tati, she's always had that entrepreneurship bug. And so I'm glad that she's seeing sometimes what it takes. But then I'm also glad that she has access to all of you as well. So just like with everyone that listens to the show, I know she has access to you guys. And when she stops in, she doesn't have to completely go by my pattern. My type of business is different, right? And so being able to listen to different perspectives can help her build the direction that she wants to go in for what she's trying to accomplish. She's already tapped Jeff. So Jeff's already helped her with some resources. And she's going to be reaching out to Uncle Martin soon too, I heard. So, but I agree with you. As a parent, this is what I want to leave behind, you know. She can go to Google and she can put her mother name in. Yeah, that's my mom. She did that one. And then she did this one and she did that one. And it was so cool to see her do this. And so I love hearing her say that. She'll listen to parts of the show. Oh, you guys cut up. Oh, you guys, that was cool. Oh, I'm going to remember that. So I like hearing that feedback from her too.
I was going to say with Tashi, you know, I think you said she's doing jewelry and probably getting into T-shirts. Mm-hmm. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, her overall passion is just fashion, right? No matter what it is. So no matter the direction, it's still there. So no matter which way that she tap into it, it's still fashion. Mm-hmm. And then I want to circle back to what you said, Chanel, about your niche, finding your niche. One thing I was clear about when I started J. Logan and Company, the executive event planner, I was not doing nobody's wedding. I was clear about that. I would do your reception and your dinner, but your ceremony, don't know. I was clear about that. No, ma'am. Not doing that at all. And then secondly, something you made me think about, Chanel, was, you know, don't discount what your parents path, because as Jeff said, your mother was a teacher. Now look at you. You may not be in a classroom, so to speak, but you're still teaching. You know, you still got that bug in you where you're teaching, and that bug came from your mom. So I just encourage the listeners, don't discount the path that your parents took, because, you know, you may catch that bug. You may go a different path, but it's still going to come around at some point.
I wanted to say something about what Chanel said. Just sparked a thought in me. Jeff and I were talking about, you know, the goals, right? the goals are the end game, you know, the end result, what you want the end to look like. But that passion is the drive, you know, and the drive, it is such a part. That's where you become so pliable, huh, Jeff? Where you're able to say, hey, I don't know what's going to happen right there at the beginning. And like Chanel, I'm all for it. We're going to book everything until we figure out, like Julie, I ain't doing no weddings. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, but the drive is what takes you to that goal, you know, and it becomes more fiery. You know, when you start doing it for yourself, it becomes more fiery, and as you continue to trim it and hone it and bring it all into focus, and it becomes your niche and stuff like that. It just keeps firing you up, and it becomes and you're able to roll with the punches, you know, change with the weather. Some of the work I do, it depending on the weather, things can change. You know, just, you know, I'm sure that affects you too, Chanel. You know, tornado season affects travel, you know what I mean, and all that other stuff. So, yeah, man, not the goals, not versus the drives, but the goals and the drive, you know, that just sparked in me when you said that, Chanel.
Yeah, something she said also reminded me of some things too, because like I said, I read a lot, and I study a lot of successful entrepreneurs. And what struck me is a lot of them had a lot of failures in the beginning. It's like, goodness gracious. It was like, whoa, y'all was some major screw ups. And that's how it looked. They had so many failures, but then they kept going and kept going and kept going. And it's almost like they fine-tuned themselves. Okay, this didn't work over here. Let me try this over here. Okay, that didn't work. Let me try this. Oh, that didn't work. Let me try this. Over and over and over until they finally got it. But it's the truth. And I'm telling you, I read about so many people, and it's like they all went through the same type of thing. So when Chanel said she tried this, it didn't work, tried this, it didn't work, that is normal. See, that's the sign of a true entrepreneur who's going to be successful, because they keep going, they don't quit until they hit pay dirt. Where the average person, oh, it didn't work, it ain't meant to be, let me go back and work a 9 to 5. You cannot do that. And I think that's something that people need to know, that it's going to take work. You're going to have some failures, a lot of failures. I've had many mistakes. Man, I tell you, one time, one of our books, I had somebody, you know, do the art on the front of the book, and we got it all printed up, and we sent some out. And somebody was like, hey, dude, this word is misspelled on the front of on the book. How we misspell a word on a cover of a book? I was so mad. It was like, I had the book in front of me, like, oh, here we go. It is misspelled. Oh, let's go get some more. You know, so it's like you learn. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way, the embarrassing way, but you learn, and you just got to keep going. And when it happens, sometimes it's like, oh my God, this is terrible. But sometimes you can look back and be like, I'm so glad that happened, because now I know what not to do. And that's something a lot of people don't think about when they're starting out. You're going to make mistakes, because everyone's made mistakes. There's going to be some failures along the way. You might be embarrassed. You might be mad. But you know what? You got to learn from it and keep going. So I think that's something that people really need to know and understand. And that way you can know what you don't want to do. See, Julie knew up front you didn't want to do weddings. Some people got to learn that the hard way. But once you learn it, then you know, okay, I ain't going down that road no more, you know?
I want to go back to, we spoke on what parents didn't teach us, you know, so having parents that teach entrepreneurship. So granted, my parents didn't teach me about owning my own business, but my parents taught me to be a hard worker, right? They told me and taught me how to face those challenges to be a hard worker. And if you want to be successful at being an entrepreneur, you got to hone in on that too, being a hard worker. You got to work just as hard for yourself as you did for someone else. You know, so that I always give my mother credit for, because even before then, Jeff knows me, I worked 2-3 jobs. You know, I had to do what I had to do. I need to make sure me and my daughter was okay. But now when I got to put in these long hours, revamping the script and everything we're working on, I'm up to 4 or 5. Last week, I was up to almost 6 o'clock every morning. But I was right back up at 8:30, 9 o'clock, and right back at it. Because
that work ethic.
Timeline. She taught me that. Nothing else, you know. My mom, was work at the post office. Yeah, it was work at the post office, you know. But she taught me to be a hard worker. She taught me to stand out, find a skill set where you stand out from the crowd. So they'll pick you to do a different job. So she at least taught me that, and that also helps you be successful. And I know, Chanel, you was going to say something real quick before Dion had said something. Do you want to double back on that?
I think I remember what it was. I think it was something pertaining to what Julie said, but it made me think about, I'll speak for me personally. You know, I've always said I'm not a salesperson. Like you said, Jeff, you're not a teacher, or you didn't want to be a teacher, but you're teaching. You know, same thing. I'm not a one to stand in front of crowds and do a lot of speaking. I'm not a salesperson. And I think I mentioned this before. I'm in the sales industry. But to me, it's about building relationships. And that's how I approach it. When I first meet a client, it's a conversation. I'm not trying to sell you anything. It's a conversation on getting to know what your needs are, number one. And then number two, educating you on how I could be a service to you in this process. And then it rolls into, okay, well, here we go from here. So I think that was, you know, pivotal as well for me, you know what I mean? Because sometimes we talk ourselves out of stuff. No, I can't do this, or no, I can't do that. And that's not the case. You can, and it just looks different in most cases, number one. And then two, Jeff, you said failures. Some are in your control and some are not. I mean, think about travel this year. I have no control over COVID, none. And it came through and has caused, you know what I mean, so many issues for many, many people. But I think always learning, always being willing to grow and evolve yourself personally, as well as your business, being able to pivot. That's been critical for us this year. What are other ways? This is my passion. I'm not going anywhere. You know, this is something that I love to do, and I'm in it for the long haul. But what can we do to remain relevant? You know, to still exist in the world, and what we're always thinking about, like you said, Jeff, still learning, still engaging, and how even now engaging with my clients. Nobody's going anywhere. I'm not trying to sell you a trip, but let me tell you things that you could do, how you can travel at home, how you can bring the destination to you. Did you know, type things. So I think that's critical in any business, in any stage of a business, is remaining relevant. So I thought I'd throw that out there as well. So not just in the beginning that there could be challenges, but throughout, you know, your entrepreneurship journey.
That's a great word, Chanel, relevant.
So Chanel too, I mean, you know, we follow you on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, Moonglade Travel is the official travel agency for Mahogany Production. Put that out. But I also noticed that you posted there were some places that were opening up their COVID restrictions on traveling. You want to kind of put that hint out there so people know?
Absolutely. So mainly in the Caribbean and across the states, a lot of destinations are opening back up, obviously with very strict protocols in place, rightfully so, to protect their visitors and then also their residents. So a lot of the recent protocols that we've seen, and I just got back from Puerto Rico last week. So one of the things that we had to do was get a COVID test prior to travel. And it had to be negative. You had to upload your results and everything. We were also greeted by the National Guard when we got to the airport to be screened before we could go, you know, leave the airport. And then also everywhere we went in Puerto Rico, we had our temperatures checked and we had to hand sanitize, and you had to wear your mask the entire time. Every place we went, they were wiping down, you know, they were sanitizing. So I actually felt more safe there than I do traveling around, you know, in the States. But that is just something that we're educating our clients on, that there are opportunities to travel, obviously doing it safely, but keeping in mind that those protocols are in place.
Were there any on the airplane when you left?
Lord, on the airplane, that was probably the place that I had the most anxiety, because it was packed. Every seat on the plane going and coming was full, which was an indication that people are traveling. People are out, whether it's for leisure or for business. People are going places. Mask on everyone. When we arrived in Puerto Rico and we're getting off the plane, there were people that were coming in that were sanitizing, like the arm rest and the seat belts and the back of the seat tables, tray tables and things like that. So I was seeing things happening in the airport, even though there were lots. and lots of people.
That's good to know, because I saw it where the airlines is telling the government, look, if you guys can't bail us out, we got to start open back up. And so I saw that they had put it there that they're starting to open back up and travel's out there. I know there are some people that don't really care for the face mask, but I also heard there are some airlines that will ban you if you refuse to put your face mask on. So be privy to that information as well. And again, check out Moonglade Travel. She's on Facebook and on Instagram. And she'll keep you informed on a daily basis.
Thank you.
The exclusive travel agency, Moonglade Travel. Yeah. It's your free commercial.
I know, right? That was it. Right. Thank you.
I edited the video for you, and you can just start circulating it.
Perfect.
So we just did a commercial for Chanel. So last words, everyone. Let's start with Chanel, because I think you got to jump before we do. Unmute.
There we go. Okay, so I read this morning. It said, walk beautifully, talk beautifully, live beautifully. And I think that's so important.
Yeah, it is. I like that one a lot. Hi, Janelle. That's a good one. I'm going to let Julie follow up on that one, because I know she has a great one. And in fact, that felt so Julie-ish. That quote that Chanel just did felt so Julie-ish.
Yeah. Well, tonight we kind of talked about, entrepreneurs, there's going to be some failures. You will have some ups and downs, some ins and outs. That's just the name of the game. But just don't allow those failures or those trials or tribulations to stop you or to grow in your passion. And so what I want to leave with everybody is a quote that says, be stronger than your excuse. And then every day is an opportunity for a great opportunity. I'm Julie Logan, and I am her too.
Yes, you are.
Awesome, Julie.
Julie, that was amazing.
You gonna let Dion go next?
Well, I'm gonna be real simple, everyone. Some of us on the entrepreneur path, you don't get to go to MIT, you don't get to do an MBA, you don't get to go to a lot of the collegiate, scholastic, or even indoctrination, as some of our educational institutions are, indoctrination on business and how to run it. So all your failures become your business school. And yes, they sometimes cost, but the experience creates a value that you're going to be able to take with you and be able to change and become better and become relevant throughout the rest of your business life. That's what I'm going to say at the end. Julie, that quote was amazing. Your Chanel's quote was amazing too. Thank y'all so much.
Yeah.
I like that one too, Dion. I'm sorry. Your failures become your business school. That's cool. I love that.
Yeah, all your quotes are just amazing. Y'all just kill me with the quotes. Good quotes too. I don't really have anything else really to say except just be passionate. Find something you're passionate about, because that's going to keep you going. Money is not the ultimate passion. Of course, we all want to be, successful financially, but that shouldn't be your end goal. You got to find something that's going to help you per se. I know Chanel's gone, but she's not really in sales. She's in the service industry, and she's providing a service. And that is how she sells what she does, because she's providing a service. And so if you can provide a service for people, the more people you can provide a service to, the more successful you'll be. So if you can provide a service to millions, then you'll make millions. Whether you can make them laugh, whether you make them happy, whether you make them think, whether you can motivate them. If you can do that for millions of people, then you will achieve the success you want. So no matter what industry you're in, if you can reach millions, if you can impact millions, you will make millions. And that's what I want to say there.
I agree. I'd just like to say that at the end of the day, being an entrepreneur is hard work, right? but realize you are stronger than you think. You know, there's dedication, hard work and dedication goes along with anything that you do. If you can put that same amount of hard work and dedication towards corporate America, then you should be 3 times as stronger for your own business. So just remember, you are stronger than you think. Don't think, oh, I can't do this by myself. Yeah, you can. If you have to, you will. You know, like we said last week, find like-minded people. You know, like-minded people. We have them on this panel. Your circle will ultimately dictate your successes when you start out on entrepreneurship.
That's good. That's good. And before we end, I just one last thing I want to say. Be on the lookout. Yeah, I know I'm getting ready to say something crazy, right? Be on the lookout for cut rate kamikaze. Kool-Aid Spirit Pops are coming your way to a city near you.
We have a bartender, diva, mogul, entrepreneur on the panel.
I'm gonna go do a test batch right now, Jeff.
There you go. There
with
you
some of my
go.
home ingredients.
I'm going to tell Cassie, and she's going to text you, and she's going to ask you if you have fruit cocktail, because that's her favorite one.
Is that the one?
Don't let her know. That's what she's going to ask you.
Yes, we'll add that'll be job 501 for me, because
Yes,
my girlfriends pick at me. They say, you got 500 jobs. Yes, I do.
Yes, sir.
Too funny.
The Lord is blessing. Cut rate kamikaze.
Yes.
Yes.
I haven't told that story in years.
That's awesome.
We're not going to let you ever forget it, for sure, for sure.
No,
That's fine.
That's gonna be a new tagline.
Yeah.
Conversations with entrepreneurs. Cut rate kamikaze.
Sponsor.
I'll have his logo next week, Julie. We'll present his logo to him next week. I'm going to work on it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Oh my God, y'all are too funny.
Another awesome show, everyone. We hope
Excellent.
you enjoyed it. We hope you found laughter, motivation, and inspiration with these conversations with our entrepreneurs.
You guys are great.
Have a great night.
Bye, Julie.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, Maxwell.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, Maxwell.
Bye, Maxwell.
Tell them bye. All right.
Okay.